run through our deal of the week for today. It is November 12th. What I'm looking at this week is a little duplex property out in Westminster, Maryland. They're currently asking for $325,000. Property is recently renovated, actually owned by an LLC, so has been more or less fix and flipped, but not the top of the line additions added, but definitely everything is in pretty decent shape and looking nice. So, good condition there. Not a ton of pictures, but everything is looking good from what I can see. A few things to note. It is a top and a bottom of the property that's being rented. They're both 2-bedroom, 1-baths. They are actually, well, not quite both rented. One is currently rented, and then one is on the way to be rented. So the first one is leased through 2026 at $11.50 per month. The next one will be starting a lease here shortly at $12.90 per month. So those are the numbers I use for my analysis. What is nice, it has gone, pretty much full renovation. So they've done new plumbing, new roof, French drain, sump pump. So it did have water problems once upon a time, is what that means to me. And then some new windows as well. And then you also got the ductless HVAC installed very recently. So what I currently like about this is everything's pretty nicely updated. Everything's done in the last, 5 or so years. And it already is actually separately metered from BG&E, so that's a huge win as well. Going to be billing your tenants for the utilities there. Did look for some comps for this one. I will say it was challenging. I could not find one multifamily property sold within the area in the last year. So I did turn over to the single-family home route to try to find something more comparable. Okay. But they're all, about that 1980 price point. This home is certainly smaller, right? 720 square feet and 1440 versus some of these other ones that were about 1,000 square feet per floor. So those definitely do give you more value, everything else being equal. These did sell for $380, $375, and $446, respectively. Take a quick look through some of these conditions. This one, no pictures, unfortunately. So, not really the most helpful property there. Here's one at $375. Does have the pictures, so that is certainly much more helpful. But, kitchen's not massively updated or nice, but the rest of the property is looking to be in pretty decent shape. The basement not quite 100% finished out, a little bit more data down there. But, definitely a decent looking property, decent yard, a little deck space as well. And then if we look at the last one here, it's the one that got the 446. So more of a split level type home, which does have a little bit more value than something that's entirely in a basement. But also, nothing to write home about, but decent shape. Basement definitely not entirely finished, so a little bit of value could be added there. And then nice new deck on that one. Definitely a lot more land, a little more private space, so that's got some value as well. But all that being said, $325, not necessarily a bad price. We'll get into it here shortly, but the rental income isn't super strong at that level. I did pull a few rent comps just to check in. Now all these again are a little bit larger, so probably should be rented for a little bit higher. And this guy here was, not in the best condition, but they did get $1,700, $1,850, and $1,500 for those 3 rental comps, all 2-bedroom, 1-baths. But again, they're all a bit larger. So, the $1,200 might be a little bit low. You might be able to sneak out a little bit higher rents, at least comparing it to this one that was going for $1,500. You also have a basement property here, kind of an outdated kitchen, outdated bathroom. So not really the best of shape, but a little bit bigger. So, you might be able to push your rents up a little bit higher, maybe get $1,400 towards the higher end, but like to try to be conservative. At least not getting it for a little while because they have all the leases in place. From the income potential, looking at a $325 purchase price. Again, current rents are getting $11.50 and $12.90. Factor in about 7% rate and current taxes and loan estimates, HOA, what have you, and accounting for about $50 in water per month as well. Electric will be billed to your tenants. You factor all that in, you're left with a cash flow a little bit break even, somewhere in the ballpark of about 25 to $270 a month. You do hit your DSCR ratio, which is good. I do think we could probably get this a little bit cheaper. Just to make the numbers make a little more sense. I'd honestly probably recommend getting a rate buy down, having the credit give you seller credit and get that rate from a 7 down to, maybe a 6 or so, and then the numbers look a little bit stronger. But keeping it as is for now. Cash on cash, looking at about a 0.4 to 4% return on investment, but a pretty low initial investment, about $75K there. And looking long term, should make you a little over $1 million, 30 years down the line. Factor in your appreciation, your cash flow, your loan pay down, your tax savings. And then, of course, comparing this to the stock market, just make sure it's worth our time. You are outpacing the stock market for about 27, 28 years there. So, even with that low cash flow, still a promising investment. It's still going to do you well.